You're directing your crew, your ship, but the feminine energy is the weather. It can be very unpredictable in a beautiful way, but based on what the weather is bringing you, how are you going to direct your ship?
There's no shortage of information today, and wisdom is rare. This show exists to slow things down and to learn from those that have success and that have the wisdom as well. Not only that, they are making an impact in people's lives. Welcome to the show. Today's guest, I have my friend, business partner, and just all around great guy, Minhdoan Ngo, father, husband, real estate investor, real estate coach, and as of late, a contagious healer, a person that works with people through their mental issues in efforts to heal them so that they become the better version of themselves. It's been a long time. We've known each other for several years now, and I'm really excited to highlight your story. My goal here is to highlight your life, honor you, and then share your story in hopes that somebody listening will take a piece of information from your journey as a blueprint to create their own. So, yeah, welcome. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, Jay. You honor me every day, brother.
Yeah.
Much love, man.
I try, yes. I want to start off by, for, maybe people that don't know you, who were you before who you are today? Like, tell me about maybe your childhood. Like, what was that like?
How much time you got, Jay?
As long as you need.
Yeah. Oh, man. I lived in suburban Bay Area, and, my parents were Vietnamese refugees, escaped during the Vietnam War. And my mom started a nail shop in the Bay. My dad was a factory worker, and really just living the American dream, just living in the suburban life, small town Hercules, and it was going pretty well. I grew up with two older siblings, my brother and my older sister, and we were really enjoying it. And there were moments though where a lot of my memory was tied to a lot of times where I felt like my dad, he loved us hard. Mm-hmm. And but he also had a lot of pain. He held in a lot of pain as well, and unfortunately he took it out on us many times too. So
pain, like trauma pain?
It was what I know now. It's definitely some trauma pain. But I think what was very challenging now that I see it now, where I can look back, he had a specific identity in Vietnam. And after escaping and making a life in the States, and that identity completely shifted, and it was very unexpected for him.
Okay.
I would also say that my mom, she's a very hard worker. She prides herself with working hard. And I can see now, especially after doing the work I'm doing now, how she showed up very much in her masculine, very directive, decision maker, planner. She did all the things, right? And in a way that there was a lot of an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy in the household, and that led to a lot of volatility, a lot of fights. I can even think of times where my mom, she would show my dad, like she would just run downstairs and try to grab a knife and just attempt to do something, just to get the attention, and I just didn't know how to interpret that.
Yeah.
So growing up, that happened every once in a while, and it was just hard to understand. But for my dad, he was kind of on extreme ends. Like he loved us very hard. He always asked for kisses, and he would enjoy, watching movies with us. But when he bottled up all that frustration and anger, he unfortunately took it out on us a lot too. So that was kind of his way of coping. Whereas with my mom, she was kind of the stable one, right? Just kind of doing her thing, paying the bills, running the business. And but then because of that, I also realize now that she didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to just be.
Yeah.
Right. So then for her, she had to put up a face.
Yeah.
She had to show her, she had to show that she was successful, basically. And she didn't feel like she had a lot of opportunities to just be herself.
Yeah.
So she ended up taking it out a lot on my dad. And just seeing a lot of that volatility just made me feel very uncertain growing up. But I also realize now that they've done the best they could.
Yeah. Right.
It's they did the best they could with what they were given. And I'm just really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, in our childhood, there was had a lot of cousins around me. They all basically came from, post Vietnam War kids. Right. So we played a lot of tag on the streets, football, basketball. Every weekend was a time out at one of the family's houses. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a great time,
There's a couple of things that stand out to me in kind of sharing your story right now. One is you mentioned masculine and feminine energy. I do want to unpack that and understand what that means. And then I think I can relate to a lot of what you just said. My family's immigrants from the Philippines. So I'm first generation here. And I think what you said probably can relate to a lot of other, I would just say like Asian people that kind of live in the Western society.
Right.
Is that we go out and play, we hang out with our friends. When we go home, it's a different type of environment, right?
Right.
It could be very stressful. It could be like high intensity. It could be all of that. And I had a similar upbringing where, inside of our household is very strict. It's very, like that was our love. I could say my dad was very firm, very strict. Like he would take a lot of, disciplinary actions, probably from a lot of pressures coming to America, not really knowing how to speak, trying to provide and survive for our family. And I think what you said just reminds me of that, in that, kids growing up, we have these traumas that we probably don't realize that's happening.
Right.
And as we get older, we put this face on that everything is fine because we don't know how to deal with it. And, I think that is something that we should discuss more of. And I think it's more openly discussed now with mental health these days. And I think it's, to talk about your story, it's like what you've been through. There probably are a lot of trauma stemming from childhood, inside and outside of the home.
Right.
And then how we navigate that. And I think what you said was you got to hang out with your family and your cousins, and that was your release, right? Your kind of getaway from maybe some internal conflict at home, right? So I don't know if that was accurate, but that's kind of what I gathered from that. So tell me like what you think about that. And then also if you can explain what masculine and feminine energy is, I think that would be helpful for people to understand that are watching right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll start with that. Right.
Yeah.
Masculine and feminine energy. I went to a retreat, a gathering recently. Shout out to our boy, Kyle Tucker. Beautiful analogy that he provided. The masculine energy is you're essentially the captain of your ship. You're the one that is in charge. You're directing it. You're directing your crew where to go, how to go there. And the feminine energy is the weather. So if you're directing your crew, your ship, but the feminine energy is the weather, it can be very unpredictable in a beautiful way. But based on what the weather is bringing you, how are you going to direct your ship? Right. So then that's a beautiful thing. Like, so it's also another analogy is like the river, right? With the masculine energy, you're the bank of the river. You're the one that is basically coming up with the decision of where and how to go. But the water in the river, the feminine energy, it's going to flow however it wants to flow.
Okay.
Right. And it's very beautiful to have both energies, and all genders have both energies. And what I realized from my personal experience was that I put a lot, especially in corporate, I put a lot of my masculine energy into work, my 9 to 5, like, because I was working up the ranks. Even in the military, I was working up the ranks and prided myself a lot in having that identity. Like, anyone can go to Minhdoan and be like, he's got his shit down. Like, he knows what to do. He's organized. And then, but then the problem was that as soon as I got off of work and I walked through that door, that face comes off. And it was almost like I swung exactly to the opposite side of the pendulum, and it was like I don't want to do anything right now because I'm tired. I put all my energy at work, and it was very selfish of me to do that, because looking back, so many times I would come home in that way. It's like I didn't have anything else to give to my wife. And she was working at home, and she was expecting to see the version of the person that she met when we first started dating, but she saw a shell of me. Because I didn't give her any of that type of energy at home. And it was very sporadic. It was sprinkled in once in a while. But I realize now, like, I put so much of that energy, the masculine energy, into work that I ended up just falling into my victimhood and relied heavily on her to build me up at home. She didn't deserve that. I put a lot of responsibility on her. And the interesting thing, a quote that comes up very often is like, my trigger triggers your trigger, and your trigger triggers my trigger. For her, she grew up also in a very volatile childhood. When Michelle was 5 years old, her mom was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So there was a lot of uncertainty in her childhood. She was locked in her room many times. Even to this day, she actually doesn't want to watch any scary movie with me, because although scary movies can be entertaining, she actually sees her mom.
That's pretty deep.
It's deep. Yeah, it's like, it's real life for her. Right. It's very scary. So for her, she had to grow up really fast in order to, quote unquote, escape this volatile environment. So she took on tons of jobs, dozens of jobs, like starting at like 14 years old, literally dozens of jobs. And
is that to keep herself occupied, or like?
I would say partly keeping herself occupied, and also partly that it was the money that allowed her to give her more options, right? Because as she started to get older in her teenage years, this allowed her to go further, right? To do more things, to really experience other things outside of that environment. So with her, she prided herself a lot with that decision making, and with that organization and identity of like, I got my shit together. So that was very much in her masculine. Right. So fast forward when we were dating and living together, when I came home in my victimhood, it was almost like she was like, oh, I pride myself in nurturing and taking care of people, so I will be that person for you. So she became that for me. And what's really interesting was that we moved from a romantic relationship to more of a mother-son relationship. And that shit is not romantic at all.
Yeah.
Right? As you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ultimately we ended up fighting a lot. And it reminded me of my parents fighting. And it always came down to her saying the same thing, which was, you are not emotionally available for me. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's my question immediately when you say that. What does emotionally unavailable mean? What does that mean?
It took me a while to realize that. Maybe at least a couple of years of doing the work. Emotionally available to me now means that you yourself are in a grounded state, energetic, loving, present to other people, so much so that you can become a beautiful container for your loved ones to express how they need to express. That is what emotionally available means. When looking back, when I showed up in my victimhood, I was never really a container for her. She never really felt safe enough to express her true being to me because I couldn't handle it. And it was almost like as soon as she would express emotions, I felt like, oh, this is just too much. This is way too much. And then I end up walking on eggshells around her.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want this version of her to come out. Yet now I'm looking back, I realized that I was dimming her light the entire time because I was suppressing it. And the reason why we got into these arguments and all these fights was because now I see that she put up the face of the masculine because she loves me, because she loves her family, and that she loves taking care of us and loves to nurture us. However, she needs that.
Yeah, she
as
needs
well.
Nurturing as well.
And it was very selfish for me to always want that from her without giving that in return.
Yeah.
And even now, like there's still a journey of that. And for me, it means being more mindful of what she needs in these moments and being able to lean towards that version of me that can do that for her. So understanding that both genders have feminine and masculine energy, and that her natural state was in her feminine, which means that she wanted to be more expressive. She wanted to just be. She just wanted to feel like herself. Whereas most of the time as she grew up, she didn't really feel herself. She was more like, I need to be this person in order to survive.
Yeah.
Survival and safety, very different things.
Thank you for kind of breaking that down. Hurt people.
Yeah.
So people that have traumas maybe don't know how to navigate those feelings or those emotions. They base that off of a default. And maybe I can speak for myself, right? The things that I've been through, the traumas that I've been through, default me or have defaulted me in a way to respond in a certain way, which isn't always the best way to respond. So I think what you're talking about, the dynamic of a relationship, the arguing, I'm sure there are millions of people out there that are maybe caught in this loop.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe not understanding the masculine or feminine energy, or maybe not understanding how to love the person that they're with the way that they need to be loved, or even how they want to be loved. What challenges have you faced in your relationship? I know you said you're arguing a lot, but how did you break that cycle? Like, what were the steps that helped you turn it around? Because I imagine that you're in a better place now.
Absolutely.
So what was that process like? What were some maybe practical steps that somebody in a similar situation is going through? Like, how can they begin that process to turn it around to maybe get more romantic, or, not maybe live like roommates or come home to a place where it should be peaceful, only to jump into a volatile environment.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from Neil Strauss. So he wrote the book The Game, but his quote is related to realizing that most people are trying to find the best relationship in other people, when they should really be working on finding the best version of themselves in the relationship that they have with themselves. So I realized that a lot of times why we got into these arguments and these fights was because I was letting my nervous system take the steering wheel. And I didn't realize that I was simply reacting because my body was familiar with what was safe or not safe. And it was simply just reacting, right? It's almost like even in primal mode in the jungle, if a tiger, a lion pops up, then you're simply just going to run as fast as possible, right? But really there's the 4 F's that we tend to react. And that is fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And I didn't realize that I was stonewalling. So that was freezing because I learned somewhere that there's a stimuli and a response. And when I learned that there's a space that you got to honor that's in between the stimuli and the response, I misinterpreted that initially because I was like, oh, maybe if I just don't talk for a long time, then this problem goes away. Yeah. So I completely misinterpreted that understanding, which was actually popularized by Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning. So I misinterpreted that, and I was like, I am triggered right now, and if I don't say a word, then maybe this problem goes away. And what happened most of the time was the problem got worse because the chase and run happened at that point. Because my freezing was like the running away in her eyes. And she wanted to feel heard. She wanted to feel seen. She wanted to feel safe. So then she would prod, she would poke, she would run after me, sometimes physically. And she would be like, how come you're not talking? What's going on? And in my head, it was just like circles. Circles. And I did not realize that was my nervous system just trying to feel safe when it was not helping at all in those moments. So, and that's what led to a lot of the fights too.
So what do you say to somebody that's watching that is in a situation like this where maybe it's fight or flight situation with their loved one, their spouse, or their partner, and they're in this loop of like a downward spiral, and they feel helpless, like they don't know what to do. But they want a better relationship or a healthier relationship. Like, what do you say to that person?
Absolutely. The practical part of it is SEW. So S is sensation. So this is where as soon as you feel that trigger, you'll feel that sensation somewhere in your body, whether it's like a headache or like a tight throat or gut or fist clenching. And that is typically the sensation that
like
comes
your
up.
Anxiety is rising.
Yeah. So that's like the signal. That's the physical signal that your body is giving you, right? And when you're aware of that, that's beautiful. That's the first step.
Okay.
And that's actually what you want to communicate to her, right? And this is for the ladies too, right? So this is something you would communicate, that you're experiencing this sensation, So babe, like something you said just made me feel very, made me feel like a tightness in my gut. Physically, right? And then the E is emotion.
Okay.
So you would follow through and say, like, I feel that tightness in my gut. I do feel pretty frustrated and angry right now.
Okay.
I'm experiencing that. I'm not frustrated and angry at you. I'm just experiencing that, right? And then W is what do you want or not want? So you're able to communicate, babe, I feel very angry. I feel very frustrated. And all I really want is just to help and to let you know that I love you. And I want to be a beautiful provider and want you to feel safe in this moment. So what's beautiful about going through those practical steps is that it's less of the blaming and shaming where these fights tend to happen, is that we don't realize our nervous system is taken over. So then we start to trigger each other in different ways, right? And downward the spiral we go.
Okay.
Right? When you take this approach, you're actually now sitting side by side and you're looking at the problem. You're looking at the problem together and you're working through it together. That's very different.
I like that. I like that simple framework of actionable steps to identify what could become a problem, and then bringing it down to where you can communicate and level. Right? This is what I'm gathering.
Yeah.
What comes after having that approach? Like, kind of maybe incorporating that into your daily routine when you start to feel that physical anxiety starting to happen, that tension, that frustration, you might not know where it's coming from. What happens after doing that consistently? What can one expect to happen?
Yeah. So these traumas and these experiences that we've had, typically they start around 6 years old, 7 years old, because that's when the emotional intelligence kicks in. That's when we start to remember things and start to make right from wrong, good from bad, right? That the polarity and the extremes. So what's really beautiful is that when you start to do this more often, you are able to address your triggers in real time. So in the past, where I would get triggered and it would lead to fights, she gets triggered, my thing was like, I'm not going to say anything. And then in 3 days' time, it kind of goes away. But does it really go away?
Yeah.
It actually comes back stronger the next time we fight because it was never resolved.
Right.
Right. So then what's beautiful now is that once I'm aware of it, I'm actually able to communicate more effectively in real time.
Yeah.
And then it dissolves in literally seconds to minutes.
Wow.
Rather than 3 days, sometimes, like for a lot of the men that I work with, sometimes 3 decades. Like they've held on to these stories.
Yeah.
And they created this solid identity based on the story. And when we would work through a lot of rewiring.
Yeah.
Right. And then finally, for example, one of the guys, he finally built up the courage to apologize to one of his best friends growing up for what he did. Not to go into the details, but for what he did. And when he apologized, his friend was like, "Oh, yeah, not a big deal."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Holy crap, like I've been holding on to this weight for decades internally." And I thought that he thought it was a huge deal, a big thing. And I realized that all this weight was just held inside.
Yeah.
So when you're apologizing, in that example, when you're apologizing, it's not about making the other first person feel better, although that's a great result to have. It's more about letting yourself let that weight go, so that you can live more energetically, more creatively, and more true to yourself.
Yeah, I like that. I want to kind of pivot a little bit from where we're at in this conversation. What I know is that, through your life, you ended up joining the military. So you're a Marine veteran.
Mm.
Then from there, you eventually became a real estate investor, a real estate coach, mentor, and now stepping into your latest identity, which is a business owner of your community, which is Contagious Healer, and you're an emotional expert. Is that accurate?
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence expert. There's a lot that I would like to unpack, and we'll kind of blow through this. But my question is, what if there was a pain point that happened that shifted you?
Oh yeah.
To, and we can talk about this in succession, right? But what pain did you experience that shifted you? And maybe it wasn't, but that shifted you to decide to join the military. What pivot happened when you wanted to become a real estate investor and coach?
Right.
And then finally, this other shift that happened that now caused you to step into this new identity of the Contagious Healer.
Yeah.
If we could talk about that.
Yeah. In retrospect, it makes me so grateful for all of the experiences that I've had in the past, because I wouldn't have been able to be where I am if it wasn't for experiencing those things, however we identified it to be, good or bad, right? First milestone that really got me into wanting to join the military was actually my dad passing away. So he had stomach cancer in 2000, and we went to Vietnam that year in the summertime, and everything just felt fine and dandy. And then heading towards the holiday season, like it just hit us like a train, like no expectation. It just happened, and that was really tough. You know, I was 13 years old, and I was, you know, he's my father and father figure, right? And it was a very challenging time for our family. And during that time, my brother and I, very close in age, 14 months apart, we did everything together. My mom actually made him take first grade twice, so that we would be in the same grade. So yeah, since first grade, we had all the same friends, went to college together. We ended up joining the military together. And I would say that we joined because we were more curious than anything else. It wasn't a calling. It was more like, you know, our dad passed away when we were young. Like, what can the military provide us that maybe we are missing, right? So it's really interesting saying that now, because it's more coming off of the feeling of there's something already missing.
Yeah.
Right. There's already a gap, a void that we need to fill.
Yeah.
How do we fill that? Maybe the military will do that for us.
The cup is half empty.
Right. Cup is half empty. So that's why we joined.
Okay. So then you had your journey and experience in the military. What was your rate or your job in the military?
I was a landing support logistics. Okay. So that's a 0481. I joke around. It's a Saving Private Ryan at the beginning of that movie, when you have all the people heading up on the beach and just getting shot up, and they had their red patches on their covers, and just getting shot like left and right. That was our role. That wasn't, of course, you know, it's a movie. But with landing support logistics, we focused mainly on being first in, last out.
Yeah.
So helping the entire platoon, company, battalion to set up shop in a new location, and then also to break down, right? So like whenever you're heading into a new location, then we'll get there first, make sure everything is organized. So from our standpoint, we focus a lot on making sure that we are optimizing how we pack.
Yeah.
Like how we organize things to get it ready to move. And then also we spend a lot of our time, very exciting times, where we would work on a helicopter support team. So helicopters would come down with their cranes we called it donkey dicks. They would come down with their cranes, and we would hook it up to like a vehicle or to cargo netting, and then we would send it off.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun because it's like 200 miles an hour downwash or downwind. So then you got to keep your feet steady and just make sure that, you know, as the slack like starts getting tight, that you're stepping away because you don't want to hurt yourself. But also you don't want to be in front of the vehicle when the helicopter is heading that way because it's going to swing towards you. So it was a lot of fun. Just learning all the mechanics of that. And that was where I focused most of my time.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service, and sorry to hear about your dad. I know that sounds like that was a pivotal moment for you in that process. I've experienced something similar. When my mom passed away, it just shifted my whole world. And yours shifted many times because you had to learn how to live without your dad. And then you stepped into the new identity of being a Marine, right? Past being a Marine, you exit, right? You get discharged, honorably discharged, I assume. From there, where does real estate come into the picture?
Right. Yeah, that was after I got out, I met Michelle. Nightclub in San Francisco. And and that was a huge identity shift also, right?
Okay.
And then that's when I started college as well.
Okay.
So a lot of different, like just old chapter, new chapter, right? So in that time of my life, you know, that was, I was working a government job as a student assistant, and a lot of furloughs back in 2010, right, with the housing crisis and everything. So my main goal at that time was not just how do I build this relationship with the love of my life. It was also, how do I build my career? So I ended up taking on different jobs related to civil engineering and project management, and I really fell in love with project management. I love the idea and approach of bringing all the smartest people in the room together to create a product. Or create
like a mastermind,
right?
Just a bunch of smart people.
I had a lot of fun with that. I worked with a major pipeline gas operator in the Bay Area, so Pacific Gas and Electric, and I had a lot of fun, right?
Okay.
I was in that role for 7 years, so starting off as a project manager, working up to portfolio manager, program manager, supervising a dozen other project managers, and just covering different projects around the state. And it was very fun and it was very fulfilling because I saw the growth, right? And but of course, there comes a time where you reach this plateau, and that was 7 years in for me, where I was like, what's next?
I was going to ask you, so like, when did you realize through this journey so far, when did you realize things needed to change?
Yeah, it was about 7 years in that position where there was one particular night where a date night where my wife and I were just hanging out at home, and we just simply asked ourselves, like, why are we here? What are we here on earth for? What's our purpose? What's our vision? What's our goal? And we looked at our corporate life and we were like, that was a lot of fun, making good money. I don't see myself doing this forever. So then we look back at, and a big part of our really defining our purpose is looking into our past. So we look back and we realized that one very common trend in both of our lives was realizing how much our family was deeply impacted by mental illness. More so for Michelle, because it was for as early as she can remember, it was in her life. She was impacted by that. in her family. So because of that, we were like, hey, we want to do something. We want to contribute in a way back to society, back to the community, in a way that is going to help the mental health of our favorite people, our loved ones, our community. How do we do that?
Yeah.
So then we talked about, why don't we build a wellness retreat?
Okay.
Why don't we do it in Hawaii?
Yeah.
So then that was our goal. That was our vision. We wrote it down as clear as day. And it was more, for me, it was more supportive for Michelle.
Yeah.
Because for the mental health aspect, I felt like, even though we're all impacted by it, it didn't feel as real as it did to her at the time.
Yeah.
Because she was personally impacted by it. So we both ended up volunteering a lot at the time with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And we fundraised a lot. Shout out to NAMI because Michelle did a free program called Family to Family, where she understood what mental health was, what mental illness was, how to cope with it, how to manage it, navigate it personally and with your family member. So she learned a lot of that there.
Can you explain, for those that might not know, like explain what mental illness is and maybe some examples of mental illness?
Yeah. We see it all around us. I think the statistic is 1 in 4 people experience it. But there's things like post-traumatic stress disorder, right? That comes a lot in folks in the military. There's schizophrenia, right? That comes up pretty often. There's even different stages of anxiety and depression that can be diagnosed as a mental illness, right? So again, we all see it. We all experience some form of it. So it's really about understanding and growing awareness of that so that we can learn how to navigate with it, not let it go, not to ignore it, but it's how to work with it.
Yeah. Is that where the healing part of what you do now
Absolutely.
in your new identity
Absolutely
helps with? So let's jump into that. So you're now an expert in emotional intelligence. Why, like, who do you help and why is that important for the work that you do?
I would say my first client was my brother.
Okay.
We both had very different experiences in the military. Because we're brothers, we're not allowed to be in the same unit. So then we deployed to Iraq at different times. My personal experience there was decent, right? I was on base for the most part. For him, he was out in the field, like convoying every single day, attached to an infantry unit. So very different. So the story I want to share with you here that will really drive this home is that he had a huge void in his heart from his experience out there. He entered this city, and this city is, they've been notified for at least 2 weeks now of you're not supposed to be in the city anymore. And if you stay here past this date, you're considered the enemy. You're considered insurgents. So their job was to sweep the city after that notice. And my brother, out in his convoy, he sees a guy. He sees a guy putting up clothes for his family in his backyard. And my brother was like, "Oh, he's like a I know he's not supposed to be here, but he's completely harmless.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do anything." But his sergeant said otherwise. He said, "No, he knows the rules. You take him out." So yeah, it still hits still hits really hard, even just sharing this story just a million times. But so he did it.
Oh my God.
And that left a huge void in his heart for many years. Even to me, his closest brother, family, friend, he never shared this story with me for over 10 years. In our 20s, as we partied a lot, like we would drink, and there's these moments where he would just burst out and cry. And I would ask him, what's happening? You could tell me anything. And he'll just wipe his eyes and he'll say nothing.
Carry on.
Carry on. So it wasn't until he decided to volunteer with us, with NAMI. And he started to realize, like, holy crap, like there's a lot of other people out in this world that are experiencing something similar, maybe not exactly the same, but something similar to what I'm experiencing. And that was almost the first time he felt that he wasn't alone.
Okay.
So after having that experience, he felt open to sharing with me and Michelle for the first time after 10 years.
Wow.
And at first I got angry because I was like, you didn't tell me shit. How come you didn't tell me?
Yeah. Take your time.
But the most beautiful thing happened after that. So as he started to share that story, first with us, he felt lighter. And then he shared with others. And then he shared with a therapist. And then he shared with a psychiatrist. Then he shared with more family members and friends. And that big monster that was basically just running his life for 10 years got smaller and smaller. And then he realized how much it took a hold of his life. And as it got smaller, it created more room in his heart for love, for just being himself, for creativity. And he transformed completely, like starting off with mentally, and then he hired a physical like coach, and he got in the best shape of his life. And then financially, he got into investing in real estate and stocks as well, and that changed his life as well. And it's just such a beautiful thing seeing his transformation, and that started with having the courage to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that, to me, that is such a big part of the work I do right now, is letting guys know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's very courageous, because that's the very first step that is needed in order for you to create more space. When you can create more space for yourself, you can allow the higher version of yourself to really live and to express. And when you can do that, you can then become a beautiful container of other people's emotions as well.
100%. Wow. That was very powerful. Thank you for sharing that story. And, kudos to you and your brother for serving. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that experience something like that, even outside of the military, where they're put in a position where their life is threatened and they have to make a move, and they have to live with that conflict, being, I don't know if ashamed is the right word, but just not comfortable to share that story.
Right.
And I myself can say, like, the traumas that I've been through and my own healing journey started with me talking about it, right? So can you share a little bit about what healing means, and like how you help with the work that you do somebody go through the healing process?
Right. The first step is awareness, self-awareness. Something I do with many of our guys initially is a 30-day challenge, which is 30 days of it's an intensive, right? So it's 30 days of many of the things that you probably heard of, right? Cold plunge, journaling, meditation. Some of the less popular things is like staring into your own eyes for at least 10 minutes. Another fun one is like dancing for a minute, recording yourself dancing, regardless of where you are. Conscious raging, right? There's a lot of different modalities. There's a lot of different activities, tasks that allows you to see within. And it allows you to grow this first off, awareness of who you are and why are you showing up in this world the way you are right now. And what a lot of the guys notice by doing this work is realizing how much they react in their lives as a people pleaser, as someone that feels like, they're seeking external validation, but then they're not really feeling fulfilled inside. So that first step is really just understanding that and being aware of it. Because once you start to grow awareness of that, then you can do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's really the first part of the healing. And then really what we do in the brotherhood, that's really the next step, right? Because you go from awareness to accountability. And this is where like when people start to share, when the brothers start to share things about what's coming up for them, why do they think they're doing what they're doing? Why do they feel stuck? Why do they feel so angry, frustrated? We go through a ton of different exercises to help them navigate that in real time. And we hold them accountable to that. Like our brotherhood, we call it a soulship. It's not a friendship. We're not trying to make you feel good. We're not trying to say nice things just to pass time. Like we're going to hold your feet to the fire because you deserve it. Your family deserves it. Your community deserves it. So it's really about that awareness, first of all, and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Some men have shared about how they've been molested. Some men have shared about how they've been the molester. Some men have shared about how, they've done something that they completely regretted. Yeah. Right. So it's just understanding that it is a closed container and we all are there to support each other in service of each other. Yeah. Which is a beautiful thing because quite often these guys, when they come in for the first time, they feel like they're going to be judged. Yeah. And the exact opposite thing happens. Right. It's a scary world right now, especially with AI and all the different ways that we have so much access to the world. But the way we view it through social media could make it feel like that feeling of instant gratification. It's redlining, right? Every single second. Right. So it actually gives less emphasis and less power to actually being present in the moment. So a big part of the work that we do is learning how to be present with each other. Yeah. Learning how to acknowledge. It is a skill that will never ever, you can never take that away from you. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. As we kind of like take a trip through your life, what could somebody expect if they say, hey, look, I want to work with you. I have traumas. I have mental illness, PTSD. I know you're an expert in this emotional intelligence space. I want to work with you. What can I expect to happen, or what kind of results can I get after going through your program, working with you? Right. What can I expect?
A lot of the men, it's actually very difficult for them to say what you said. Okay. Starting off, it's almost like you have to read between the lines and realize that they need it more than they realize. So then it's something that takes a little bit during our initial discovery calls, and then growing awareness of what brought them here, right, is a big part of that initial step. But what's big here is that a lot of the journey in the healing, my favorite testimonials comes from the sisters, the wives.
Oh, nice.
The family members, because they are our most beautiful reflections.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are going to show us what we need to work on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like when I hear it from them, the transformation of, man, he is so much more grounded.
Yeah.
He's so much more present. He gives me attention, right?
It's the transformation that happened.
Yeah, so it's truly a transformation. One of the biggest things is really being able to address your triggers in real time.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the hard part.
Yeah. Not letting it wait 3 days, 3 months, 3 decades.
Yeah.
But being able to address it in real time. And when you start to love, and what a big transformation too is that you start to love all of you.
Yeah.
Like you look at your past and you realize like, wow, not to me, but for me.
The faults, the challenges,
everything.
Mistakes.
Yeah. And when you start to build that awareness and that mindset, you have so much more empathy for everyone around you.
Yeah.
Too. And that's such a beautiful thing, because when you build that empathy, now you can learn to be more present and more grounded and patient with everyone around you as well.
Yeah. It's like when we talk about people saying becoming the best version of themselves.
Right.
What does that mean? And it's kind of what you were describing is the journey to do that, to become the best version of yourself. And I think when you do that and you become a better version of yourself, you show up for everybody around you.
Yes.
Better energy, empathetic, understanding, patient, learning how to communicate better. Mm-hmm. And therefore, like when you reflect internally and work inwardly, everything outwardly just gets better.
Absolutely.
So I think what you're doing is I salute, I respect everything that you're doing. Because, you know, as a man, and, you know, I've been through a lot of those types of traumas, and it took me like a 3-year journey for me to heal. So the work that you're doing is very impactful. And I would encourage all the men and women out there that if you do feel like there's more for you, seek it out, get around those people. If you've been through some traumas, get around people that will help you to work through those traumas, give you tools, ideas, and support so that you can become the better version of yourself, to show up for your partner, to show up for your business partner, to show up for your kids, anybody that you're dealing with at work. How can you show up as a better version of yourself? Mm-hmm. And, you know, MD's story kind of exemplifies that from, you know, a traumatic childhood, internal conflict, volatile environments, then going through the military. There's similar situations there, dealing with your own close family member that went through something that no one should have to experience, to then helping them get through their traumas, to becoming a successful real estate investor, real estate coach, to now stepping into an identity of helping people. My question to you on that is, why is that important for you to help people in the stage of your life right now?
Having gone through the pain and really transmuting that into my passion and my purpose, I realized that it is completely selfish of me to hold on to this myself.
I love that.
Right? It's so selfish, right?
I had this conversation recently. It's like, I feel like the knowledge and experiences that I have in my own life, if I hold on to it and I don't share, I would be doing a disservice to myself and to the people around me, which kind of brings me to this point, is that you, like me, we want to serve people and help people. And I think when you do that, good things come back to you tenfold. And I totally 100% agree with you. And I love that you're stepping into this and you're actually helping people do this. For somebody listening, watching the show right now that feels stuck or feels like they don't know where to start or where to get help, if you were to directly speak to that person, what would you say to them?
Yeah, love that. First off, I would tell them that there is nothing about you that needs to be fixed. It's more about remembering who you are and who you need to be for yourself, and that we love you regardless. Just take a few deep breaths, really sit with this feeling, and know that this feeling is actually a reminder that you're a human being. And it's okay to be in this moment right now.
Nice. Thank you, MD. So if there's somebody that is watching this and they want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
You can check out my website, contagioushealer.com. We also have a free resource called 5-Minute Trigger Reset. So it helps you work on resetting yourself and regulating your nervous system in real time. Just hit me up on my website, or you can also schedule a free call with me and we can really talk about your journey and go from there.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll share the free resources link in our show notes. And hopefully you got something from this conversation that will spark the change of your life, the people around you, or maybe you might know somebody that needs this type of support. And we hope that this was of value to you. And if you want to reach MD, his link will be in our show notes. And again, we encourage you to step into your new identity, step into the best version of yourself, and continue to make that change or impact those around you. So thank you, Minhdoan, for joining me for this conversation. Good luck on your journey and keep creating that impact. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too, bro.